Let's say you're in Germany, it's 1945. You got the Russian army coming on one side, you got the French, British, and American armies coming on the other side. Who would you like to surrender to? And in fact, Wernher von Braun took, a smart guy, was like, we've got to be captured by the Americans. And in fact, the SS was under orders to execute von Braun and all of the German rocket initiatives, and they narrowly escaped. They said they were going out for a walk in the woods. They left in the middle of winter with no coats. And they ran like, but no food, no coats, no water, and just ran like hell, and ran west. And by sheer luck, I think his brother found like a bicycle or something, and then just cycled west as fast as he could. And he found a U.S. patrol. Anyway, that's one way you can tell morality is. Where do you want to go to? It's not fun anywhere, but some places you have to listen.
Join us on a captivating journey to uncover the life and legacy of Wernher von Braun, as we explore the pivotal role he played in steering the United States towards the moon and beyond. So, who was this influential figure? Our exploration into the extraordinary story of Wernher von Braun begins now. Was he an American genius or a Nazi scientist? A hero or a hypocrite?
I believe you were forced to join the Nazi Party, as I understand it.
No, this isn't quite right.
I was trying to make it sound...
Neufeld said that when von Braun testified at a war crimes trial in West Germany in the late 60s, he mentioned he'd been through the underground sleeping quarters. Von Braun later claimed in interviews that he really had no choice but to join the Nazis.
Join us now as we explore the complex tale of a figure whose life sparks questions resonating through history. Artefact of the Passing Art starts now.
The Marshall Space Flight Center has achieved an enviable record today in successfully meeting the problems which have confronted us in our bid to place a man on the moon in this decade.
Step into the remarkable world of Wernher von Braun, a visionary whose impact on the United States space program was so profound that even Samuel Phillips, a distinguished United States Air Force general and director of NASA's Apollo program during its critical period from 1964 to 1969, acknowledged von Braun's contributions as indispensable. In the aftermath of the historic moon landings, Phillips boldly stated that achieving such a monumental triumph in record time wouldn't have been possible without von Braun's crucial involvement.
I like to see it as follows. Before you can implement any social program, you have to have a healthy economy that produces values, that produces an ever-growing gross national product. I mean, as long as the population is growing, that gross national product must be larger every year, or you really have a declining economy. So I think the first and foremost thing is to retain a viable industry, a viable economy, because only through a viable economy can enough taxes be produced to finance social programs.
Join us on an extraordinary journey through the life of Wernher von Braun, a visionary rocket scientist whose brilliance and ambitions transcended the tumultuous times in which he lived. From a precocious childhood fascination with space, to his controversial enrollment in the Nazi Party, and ultimately, a daring escape through the snow-covered forests of Nazi Germany, von Braun's life is a compelling tale of triumphs and trials.
I believe you were forced to join the Nazi Party, as I understand it.
No, this isn't quite right. I got a letter one fine day which said, we understand you would like to join the party. And here's a form, an application form, but the circumstances were such that the message would have been very loud and clear, had you not sent it in.
He continued to stick to the line that he was simply a scientist who wanted to pursue the noble goal of going to space.
Dr. Wernher von Braun, who is at present the chief of the Guided Missile Division of the Army's Rocket Center at Redstone Arsenal. He was also overall director of the development of the original V-2 rocket.
Now here's a model of my design for a 4-stage orbital rocket ship. Compared to the unmanned instrument rocket, it is quite large, but the overall size and weight of the rocket is mainly determined by the 11 tons weight of this top section. This weight dictates the amount of fuel and the numbers of motors needed to produce enough power to equalize the gravitational pull of the Earth. The payload in the top section will consist of 10 crew members plus equipment. Notice the wings, small rocket motor, and landing gears. This is a section that must ultimately return the men to the Earth safely. To produce the energy needed to hurl this stage into the orbit, we need these 3 additional rocket-powered sections. If we were to start today on an organized and well-supported space program, I believe a practical passenger rocket could be built and tested within 10 years. Of course, it would be foolish to rush headlong into building a 4-stage rocket, man it with a crew, and attempt to fire it into an orbit without first following a step-by-step research and development program.
Wernher von Braun was born on 23rd of March 1912 in the small town of Wierzitz in the province of Posen, Kingdom of Prussia, then German Empire and now Poland. Wernher had an older brother, the West German diplomat Sigismund von Braun, who served as Secretary of State in the Foreign Office in the 1970s, and a younger brother, Magnus von Braun, who was a rocket scientist and later a senior executive with Chrysler. His father, Magnus Freiherr von Braun, was a civil servant and conservative politician. He served as Minister of Agriculture in the federal government during the Weimar Republic. His mother, Emmy von Quistorp, traced her ancestry through both parents to medieval European royalty. In 1915, the family relocated to Berlin, Brandenburg, as his father took up a position at the Ministry of the Interior. Von Braun, exposed to music early on, became skilled in playing the cello and piano. Initially aspiring to be a composer, he could effortlessly perform memorized pieces by Beethoven and Bach. His academic struggles in physics and mathematics prompted his mother to provide him with a telescope in 1925, sparking a newfound passion for astronomy during his time at a boarding school at Ettersburg Castle near Weimar. Space travel had always fascinated Wernher, and from then on he applied himself to physics and mathematics to pursue his interest in rocket engineering. Wernher von Braun's journey from Germany to the United States is indeed a dramatic chapter in history, marked by the complexities of World War II and the subsequent Cold War. Here's a dramatic account of his escape. As the flames of World War II raged across Europe, Wernher von Braun found himself entangled in a web of secrecy and scientific ambition. Von Braun, the brilliant mind behind the development of the feared V-2 rocket, faced an uncertain fate as the Allied forces closed in on Nazi Germany. In the waning days of the war, with the Reich crumbling around him, von Braun made a daring decision. Realizing the inevitable defeat of Germany, he sought to avoid falling into the hands of the advancing Allies. In a cloak-and-dagger operation, von Braun and a group of his colleagues orchestrated a perilous escape. Under the cover of darkness, they embarked on a treacherous journey, navigating through war-torn landscapes and evading both enemy forces and vengeful factions within the collapsing Nazi regime. The clandestine mission took them through the heart of a disintegrating Germany, with danger lurking at every turn. Facing constant threats and betrayals, von Braun and his team finally reached the secretive haven where their destiny would take an unexpected turn: Operation Paperclip. This covert U.S. initiative sought to harness German scientific expertise for American purposes. The enigmatic scientist, once a key figure in Hitler's war machine, now found himself on the precipice of a new era. The escape from Germany marked a pivotal moment in von Braun's life. It was a journey filled with high-stakes decisions, moral ambiguity, and the clash of scientific brilliance against the backdrop of global conflict. Little did von Braun know that this escape would propel him into a new frontier, as he became an integral part of the American space program, contributing to the triumphs and challenges of the space race. The dramatic escape of Wernher von Braun echoes through history as a testament to the blurred lines between war, science, and the pursuit of knowledge. His journey from the ruins of Nazi Germany to the forefront of American space exploration is a gripping tale of redemption, ambition, and the relentless march of progress in the face of tumultuous times.
And Wernher von Braun championed space exploration.
No question about this. He was very diplomatic in his work.
In 1960, most of von Braun's German team and his civilian workers were transferred from the Army at Redstone Arsenal to NASA's new George C. Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville. One of its first visitors was the new president.
He came down and spent about a half a day here, and I know Dr. von Braun turned on the charm and used his persuasive talents, and I'm absolutely convinced that that was why President Kennedy decided it was feasible, that he was a guy who could pull it off, who had gone far enough already to determine feasibility and to prove feasibility, and that he could trust Wernher von Braun to get that rocket ship to the moon.
Once he was settled in the U.S., von Braun's career took off, largely fueled by the U.S.-Soviet technological rivalry that would develop into the space race. By 1953, his team developed America's first ballistic missile, the Redstone, which could hurl a nuclear warhead up to 250 miles downrange. The Jupiter C, a modified version of the Redstone, launched the United States' first satellite, Explorer 1, in 1958. A full year after the Soviets launched their first satellite, Sputnik 1. Von Braun later became director of NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center, developing the behemoth Saturn V rocket, which more than 50 years ago carried Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin to the moon's surface, while Michael Collins waited in lunar orbit. We are still debating Wernher von Braun's legacy. More than 50 years after his rockets put men on the moon speaks to the profound effect he had on America's image.
Well, there's undoubtedly a prestige element involved in being the first on the moon, but I think the real significant thing about the Apollo program, our lunar landing program, is that it serves as a focusing point for a vast scientific and technological effort that could never have been mounted and conducted with this kind of determination had it not been for a firm target in space and time. In other words, you cannot have a hard-hitting program when you don't have a clear objective, like let's land a man on the moon in this decade. If you say just let's go out into space and see whether we find it interesting, you spend most of your time arguing with other people what the more important things are, and you don't get a job done. You also don't get congressional support for this kind of a thing. And so it is really the byproducts of the Apollo program that are more important than a timely landing on the moon itself.
The team was in place. The mission plan was set. The laboratories, offices, and test facilities were occupied as soon as they were constructed. But Marshall's chances for success relied heavily on one man, Wernher von Braun.
I think the concept of going, what it would take to do it, I have to attribute a lot to von Braun.
Well, he was more than an engineer, but he might have been that rare quality of a statesman, a politician, and an engineer. But he was certainly a first-class engineer, and I think equally capable of selling his ideas. He did that very well.
Even in the early days, sometimes he would come in and on my drawing board to ask about a little chart I might be doing. So he took a real interest in everybody, I think, that worked for him.
But I think he was the spark plug that kept it on that time frame and kept it on track. He was very good at inspiring people.
I never saw anybody that met him who didn't like him. He was a remarkable person.
Over these busy years, we have, of course, been joined by many from across the nation to the point that what has been done has truly been an all-American job. It has been an atmosphere of cooperation, resourcefulness, and enterprise.
He was always one to encourage people to do their best, apply themselves, which was a great atmosphere.
He knew when to manage, when not to manage. That's a great thing, I think. He knew when to let his people manage, and that's something not many people know how to do. He was very good at what he did, I think. I was very fond of von Braun. We were very close.
He was a good guy just to be around. He loved people. People loved him, and you knew right away his credibility. I mean, people would accept that.
If we are to extend man's boundary to the outer reaches of the universe, it is imperative that we also resolve man's relationship with man on this earth.
In 1973, a routine medical examination revealed that Wernher von Braun had been diagnosed with kidney cancer. Remarkably, despite his health challenges, he persevered and continued working with unrestrained dedication for several years. President Gerald R. Ford presented Wernher von Braun with the National Medal of Science in Engineering, the highest scientific honor in the country. Sadly, his physical condition prevented him from attending the White House ceremony, underscoring the toll his illness had taken. Tragically, on June 16, 1977, Wernher von Braun succumbed to pancreatic cancer in Alexandria, Virginia, at the age of 65. His final resting place is at the Ivy Hill Cemetery on Valley Road in Alexandria. The gravestone at his burial site bears a citation stating, "The heavens declare the glory of God," a fitting tribute to a man who reached for the stars in his extraordinary journey.